Hey guys, what's up? It's Rachel back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a disappointing products video. I think I maybe done it like twice at least, but what inspired me to do it today is because recently I've been doing a lot of hauls and I've been talking about a lot of products that I really enjoy, so I thought I'd do a video dedicated to products that just are disappointing. Before I start this video, I just want to say that there's no hate to any of these brands. I really do love all of these brands, but not all of their products are going to work for me, just like with anybody else. You know, you have your hits and you have your misses. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But before I do that, if you watched my previous haul video, that was my last video up here on my channel, I've hauled these Anastasia loose highlighters. So if you see these all over my shirt, I had never used a loose highlighter. It's my first time and it's very messy, but it's very blinding. I love this shade. If you're curious, this is a shade called Snowflake, and this is what it looks like. I just hauled it. But again, if you can see it all over me, that's what it is. But we'll just go ahead and get started. So the first product I'm going to mention is a palette. If you're new here on my channel, then I am a palette junkie. Pretty much in every video, I at least name one palette, but most of the time, it's a lot of palettes. We'll go ahead and get started with the palettes because I have a lot of those to talk about, and then we'll move on. But the first palette that I wanted to mention is from a brand called Lancome. I feel like it's not been that long ago that Lancome was recently put into Ulta. It's a very controversial brand. A lot of people don't really associate with Lancome anymore because of, you know, the things that they've done in the past. But in my opinion, if you're going to judge a brand for like what their wrongdoings, you'd have to judge them all because at this point in time, they're all shady. So this is what the palette looks like. This is the Venus XL palette. And then when you open it up, this is what it looks like on the inside. Very, very pretty, and I thought that when I got this palette, I would be all about it because I have tried Lancome's smaller palettes, and the formula in those are very nice. The shimmers are very pretty on the lids, and the mattes blend out really easy. They're very smooth and creamy. But when it comes to this palette, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was the colors, but the formula did not feel the same to me. When you feel them, they feel very smooth, but it's almost like a Lorac texture. And I used to hate Lorac eyeshadows, but I've come to really enjoy them now. But I don't know what it is. This formula is just not the same as their smaller palettes. Every time I try to create a look with this palette, it ended up just blending in all in one. I feel like the colors blend all in one. If you've watched some of my videos, I talk about the Huda Obsessions palette, the little mini palettes. The Coral Obsessions one is the worst for that. All of the shades just blend into one and it just doesn't look good. If I use that palette, I have to go in with like one or two shades at the most. And then I have to pull in other palettes because I cannot use just that one palette. And that's the same for this. The formula just isn't the same. And honestly, I'm not a fan of this formula. I saw not too long ago that they came out with a second version of this. And it looks really earthy, like it has a lot of green tones. And like really light greens and like browns and stuff. And when I look at that, it looks really nice. But this formula is just not for me. I did swatch it when I was in Ulta, and the shimmers felt better than in this palette. But these palettes retail for $60. And honestly, I was thinking about it a few minutes ago, but I have already found a dupe for that palette. I was thinking about Natasha Denona, and her shadows are like at the top for me. They're some of my favorite shadows on the market. They're very expensive, but they're very well worth it. And the palette that I was thinking of, I don't really know the name of it, but it's like her 5-pan palette. And what made me think about it was when I went to New York with my husband, we walked into Sephora and we was just walking around, and he picked up that palette and he was like, here, here. And that palette has some of the same tones as that Lancome palette. It has those greens. And those palettes from Natasha Denona retail for like $50. And even though I know you're getting a tremendous less amount of shades in the Natasha Denona and you're paying about the same price as the Lancome, I just don't think that the Lancome is worth it for me because I did not enjoy the formula personally. But maybe you're different. Maybe if you like that formula, if you tried this palette and you like it, you'll probably enjoy the second one. But like I said before, I just don't enjoy this formula, and this is kind of like a waste. And it never gets used in my collection. They just all mud up together into one, and it looks really crappy. When I first started making videos, I done a series here on my channel where I was like, let's talk about Urban Decay, let's talk about Anastasia, like all different brands. And I talked about the things that they were most known for when it came to their palettes. But one thing I've never done is a video dedicated strictly to Morphe. I have done a palette review on the James Charles palette, and I absolutely love it. I've done a tutorial with it. But I remember when Morphe first started, and I was watching Jaclyn Hill, and she would always talk about the 350. And I know since then, Morphe has updated their packaging when it comes to all of their palettes. But I want to talk about the 350. This is what it looks like. Again, I have the outer packaging, and I'm pretty sure that they have updated this packaging. This is what it looks like, by the way. It has a mixture of shimmers and mattes. I never did understand the hype for this palette. You have a mixture right here of all browns, and they pretty much all look the same. I feel like this palette is really chalky. There's a certain few that's not, but overall it's just chalky. They're hard to blend, and they're not worth the $20-some in my opinion. Even though you do get a wide variety of shades, I just feel like these are crap. I never did enjoy these, and the next one that I didn't enjoy was the 35F. Again, I have the outer packaging, and I may have held that upside down, but this is what it looks like. The biggest problem for me with this palette was the shimmers would always fade, and I'm somebody, I use very good eye primers. I've used the best, I've used drugstore, and it didn't matter what I did, the shimmers would always fade on me over time. And again, with those mattes, they were pretty chalky. They didn't blend well. And I don't know if since they've repackaged them that maybe they've changed the formula a little bit. But I know that everything that Morphe has come out with eyeshadow-wise here recently, their formula is very updated. Especially if they do a collaboration with like some big YouTuber or something, it's very on point. The James Charles palette is awesome. The Jaclyn Hill is one of my favorites. I constantly use that palette. And I feel like Jaclyn Hill's Vault, even though it had mixed reviews, I personally really enjoyed it. But I just feel like they do a better job when it comes to their collaborations, which is sad because it shouldn't be just a thing, oh, well, a lot of people's going to buy this palette because her name's on it, so we need to make it good. It should be that way for all of their palettes, but like I said, I don't enjoy these. I don't know if they've changed the formula or not with their newer ones, but I never reach for these because these are just not good in my opinion. Not too long ago when I was at Ulta, I picked up their recent palettes, and there was like a blue tone one, and then there was like one that had all kinds of greens in it, and there was like the Boss Mood or something. Those are really, really nice. Their formula is very nice. I watched Tati do a review, and she had mixed opinions on it, but I thought they were very nice, and the formula is nothing like the ones in these. I went ahead and grabbed these palettes so I could show you guys. This is the 35V, but again, this is their newer packaging. Absolutely gorgeous. This formula is so much better. This formula reminds me of the Jaclyn Hill palette. And then I have the other one. This is the 35M. Again, it's in that newer packaging. And this is what it looks like. Absolutely gorgeous. These blend out so well for me. So again, I just wanted to show you those because I can't remember the names of them. I have done a video here on my channel where I talk about the Anastasia palettes in the velvet packaging, and if you want to see what I really think about those, you can watch that video, but I just thought I'd mention them in this video because they are disappointing to me. The first one I want to mention is the Subculture. When it comes to the color wise, I absolutely love the colors, but the shades annoy me so bad. They are very, very powdery, and I feel like that's what everybody was saying. They were very powdery. They're very hard to work with. The colors just don't blend well together. The shimmers are fine, but the formula overall is very different from what they normally do. This palette irritated me. Every time I would use it, I would get frustrated. I just couldn't blend my shadows. I couldn't get them to do what I wanted them to do, so I never reached for this palette. This is just almost like a collector's thing because Anastasia always does this type of palette, and they do like velvet packaging, and I kind of just like to have them all together. But when it comes to actually using this palette, I don't, because it really does frustrate me. I just can't get them to do what I want. They don't blend. They're powdery. And like the Lancome palette, they just kind of clash, all the colors clash into one, and they just don't look good. This may be a unpopular opinion, but another palette from Anastasia that I didn't enjoy was the Prism palette, and it looks like this. Again, it has that velvet packaging, but the reason I didn't enjoy this palette was the formula. Again, I don't know what it is, but this is not Anastasia's formula that everybody knows and loves. I don't know what they done. Some of the shimmers are okay, but overall, it's just not the same formula. This palette ended up going on sale like a bunch of times. I strongly believe that that's why. This palette is just different. I don't know what it is. The formula is not the same. I never reach for this because, again, when it comes to this palette, just like the Subculture, it irritates me when I try to mix some of these colors together, and they just kind of like, they don't go well together. I don't know what it is. I just don't use it. I don't grab for it. But again, if you want to see a review on all of these palettes, I do have a video strictly dedicated to them. The next palette I want to talk about is from Pretty Vulgar. This is a brand that I'm not very familiar with. I ended up getting a pre-made box from BoxyCharm. I wanted the contour palette from Tarte, the Park Avenue Princess one. That has been my staple. I use that all the time. But when I ended up getting that pre-made box, they had a Pretty Vulgar palette in it. And the one that was in it was Nightingale. And this is what the outer packaging looks like. And then when you look at it, this is what it looks like on the inside. You have a mixture of shimmers and mattes, and they are all cool tones. But the reason that they are in this video is not because of the formula. The formula on this is very nice. If you're somebody that you really like strongly pigmented, grayish, bluish cool tones, then you would absolutely love this palette. But the problem for me is I don't like these colors. This is way too much for me. Now, if I'm going to do like a cool tone look, I love purples. And I actually love the Smoky palette from Urban Decay. I love that palette. I can get it to work for me. It blends very nice for me. And not that this doesn't blend well and the formula is very nice. It's just these colors are very intense. I'm not afraid of color. I love colorful looks. I love neutral looks. I love just very intense looks overall. But this is just way too much for me. The colors are just way too strong for me. I will never use this, and it kind of just sits there in my collection. Again, this is not in here for the formula. The formula is awesome on these. It's in here because of the colors. Another palette I'm going to talk about was also in that pre-made box, and this is from Cargo Cosmetics. This is the Nude Beach eyeshadow palette, and this is what it looks like on the outside. And when you open it up, you have mattes, and you have pretty much two shimmers, and the rest are mattes. The problem with this palette is this is so basic. I have this in pretty much every other palette that I own. And the formula on this is not bad. I feel like the mattes aren't that great. They feel smooth, but they're just not that good. And the two shimmers are nice, but I'm not going to pull this out for these two shimmers because if I'm going to reach for a shimmer eyeshadow, I'm going to go into my Norvina palette from Anastasia. That is the best shimmer formula ever. These shimmers are very pretty, they're very nice, and they're pigmented. It's just nothing that I go really crazy over, but I did get this in the pre-made box from BoxyCharm, so I don't really use this. I'm not crazy over the formula, and in my opinion, it's just pretty boring. The next product I'm going to talk about is from Becca. This is a highlighter. Now, I know that may come as a shock because Becca's highlighter formula is absolutely fantastic most of the time. This is the only highlighter that I have ever come across from them that I have not enjoyed. The shade that I have here is called Lilac, and then a name that I cannot pronounce at all. But this is what the outer packaging looks like. This was out during Christmas when I worked at Ulta, so it's been a little bit. But this is what it looks like on the inside. It looks very, very pretty. And I normally love a strong pinky highlight. But the problem with this is it does not show up on my skin. I have tried many different types of brushes, but nothing seems to pick the product up. And I've even used my finger to rub it in there and then apply it like this. And nothing shows up on my skin. I don't know what it is. It looks very pretty, but like I said, just nothing shows up on my skin. And that's such a shame because this was not cheap. This was $40. That's what Becca highlighters retail for, is $40. So this never gets used because it's absolutely nothing. I'm telling you, I could use this as a face powder because there's just nothing that comes out of it. So again, this is from Becca. I don't know that they make this shade anymore. I know, like I said, I got this around Christmas time. It's been a couple years. I know they have something similar to this, so this is just very disappointing. It just doesn't show up. The next product I'm going to talk about is something that I talked about in my haul video, and that is my previous video. If you watched that, I talked about my BoxyCharm. I just threw that in with my haul video, and something that I had got out of that BoxyCharm was this Wonder Beauty Lift Off Purifying and Brightening Peel Off Mask, and this is what it looks like. This retails for like $34, I'm pretty sure, from Sephora. I don't really like this mask at all. I even said that in my haul video. I tried this out. I even put it on my husband. But it did not work out great at all. When it comes to a purifying peel-off mask, you need to apply a thicker layer than normal so you can grab a hold of it and peel it off. And I did apply a very thick layer, and you couldn't really peel it off. It was like very, very little. And usually when it comes to these types of masks, you have like big chunks and you can pull it off, and it doesn't take you that long to peel off. And I'm telling you, it seriously takes you over an hour. So what I ended up having to do was go and rinse it off with a washcloth. And it's just not a peel-off mask to me. Other than that, it made my skin brighter, which is what it's supposed to do, but it's just, I don't like this mask. I don't like the texture of it. I don't like the way it squeezes out, and you have to use a lot of product, and I don't like that at all. I had things that work so much better than this, so I don't really prefer this. I mean, it was nice that we got this in the box just to try it out, but it's not something that I would go out and buy myself. The next product I have to talk about is a face primer. This is from Cover FX, and this is the blurring primer. This is what it looks like. Mine's a little chewed up because my dog got a hold of it and he started gnawing on it. But I'm not sure, I think that I have talked about this in a video before, but the reason that I'm putting it in this video, it's not a bad product, but it's just not great. And the reason being is this is very similar to the Professional, but I think I prefer the Professional over this. Actually, right now, that's what I'm using is the Professional. This one is just thicker than the Professional, and honestly, I don't see that it makes a big difference in my skin the way that the Professional does. Honestly, I don't feel like it does much. I don't feel like it fills in my pores. I don't feel like it blurs them. My Professional, I can really see a difference as soon as I put that primer on. And the way that my foundation applies after I use the Professional, I can really see a difference. But with this, I just don't like it, and I don't recommend it. I feel like there's so many primers out there that are better than this, and even for a more affordable price, these primers are not cheap. It is Cover FX, so I don't recommend this at all. The next product I have to talk about is something that I hauled in my last video, which was my previous video. I hauled the Anastasia Dewy Set Setting Spray, and this is what it looks like. It has gorgeous packaging. The glitter is not something that's in the actual product, it's just the exterior, but this is what it looks like. The packaging is very similar to the MAC Fix Plus, which is my absolute favorite, so that is what I'm going to compare it to because that's what it looks like here. I talked about it in my last video as well, but when it comes to the MAC Fix Plus, it's just so fine. The sprayer and the way that the mist comes out, it's fine. It's very nice. But when it comes to this one and I spray it, it leaves big chunks. And I feel like this is just water. Now, that's just my opinion. Obviously, it's probably not water, but that's what it makes me think of because when I spray it, it doesn't have a scent. A lot of people says that it smells like coconut. I don't get that. I don't smell anything. It feels like water, and it leaves like big splotches. While the MAC Fix Plus is just like an even spray, and it doesn't leave any chunks on my face. I don't really like this at all. I don't like the sprayer on it. I don't like how it sprays out. I don't think it's a fine mist. I don't like the chunks of water on it. But like I said, I will use it because I have it, and I'm somebody, I don't like to waste product. But other than that, I feel like a lot of people will probably want this because, oh, it's Anastasia, and it's very pretty packaging, and I want to sit it on my vanity. And I understand that because I'm the same way. But when it comes to the actual product, I don't like it, and I don't recommend it. If anything, I feel like the one to go with is MAC Fix Plus. But other than that, that is all that I have to talk about. I'm sorry that I had a lot of palettes. I'm just a palette junkie, and I try out a lot of palettes, so I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. So I did want to mention them to you guys. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of hauls, and I've been talking about a lot of makeup that I really enjoy. But I don't want to forget to talk about makeup that I don't enjoy. That's something that I want to make clear here on my channel. I will always tell you guys whether or not I like something. I don't kiss a brand's ass just to get on a PR list. I watch a lot of YouTube, and it's very easy to tell. You can see it. And that's just something that I never want to do here on my channel. I always want to be clear with you and tell you what I like and what I don't like. Other than that, I think that's all I have to say. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell below so you are notified every time I upload a video. But other than that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.